Hello, everyone. This is Jack Bosch speaking with the Forever Cash Real Estate Investing Podcast. And today we are going to talk about money and people, about hiring and about financing, how to get your funding for your deals. All right, stay tuned. We're going to get started right after this.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Jack Bosch again. So I want to jump right in and introduce my guest today. And my guest today is Neil Timmins from Legacy Impact Partners. Neil, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Jack. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm fantastic. It's a beautiful Arizona winter day with probably I haven't gone outside yet, but with probably 70 degrees outside. It's beautiful. The flowers are blooming. And I know that's kind of weird to say in winter. But
I'm forever jealous, Jack.
But yeah, that's why we live here. We endure those 4 or 5 months of absolute brutal heat, or 3-4 months of absolute brutal heat in summer, or we try to escape, but then we live in winter. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about, we're going to talk, as I said, we're going to talk about hiring. You wrote a book about how to hire particularly for real estate.
Right.
And you also have a company about that funds deals for people. So that's 2 subject matters that are highly, highly interesting for my audience here. So let's jump right in. Give us a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, let me just give you the background. This is my 18th year in the real estate business. The overwhelming bulk was spent as a real estate agent. That's where I got in. That's where I cut my teeth, became a number 1 RE/MAX agent. I was 29 years old, eventually shifted over into the investment side. And today, although we've got a brokerage and I am the broker and manage that, 100% of my time, energy, effort is dedicated to investing, largely in the single family space, and then also in the commercial space.
Okay, wonderful. So great. So you probably make your money by flipping or financing and things like that, and then you roll it over into commercial, probably, right?
Yeah. So I'm in a tertiary market in Des Moines, Iowa, and I say, our goal is to make money any which way we can. So that for us has been, we've got what I call our acquisition business. We get a deal, and then we just decide how to exit that deal. So largely it's fix and flipping. Sometimes it's assigning. Sometimes it's novations. Sometimes it's, portfolioing that, keep it as a rental for a period of time. But the intent is all the money rolls up and it goes to work in the commercial arena.
All right. Wonderful. Yeah. By the way, you mentioned novations. That's something that wasn't planning. We weren't planning to talking about that, but I don't think we talked in our podcast about novations before. Can you quickly explain the concept of novation?
Yeah. The concept of novation is it allows us, the investor, to take the position that we always have from an investor. We deal control it. And through a series of legal documents, it allows us to get paid while the property transfers from party A to party B. So it's similar in a lot of regards to an assignment, but there's some benefits there that that don't look like an assignment. It can, through a power of attorney, essentially, the home can be put on the MLS. We can accept FHA financing. We can sell, and we end up getting deals that we would normally not get because they're too nice. So the deals that, a lot of us are looking for in the fix and flip world or the wholesale world is, the dented and scratched stuff. But if we get a buyer or a seller who wants to come in, they want closer to retail, oftentimes we're able to put a novation in place, take it to market, we'll list it with our realtor, our agent, and then get it sold and earn a fee along the way for doing that.
Okay. So it's kind of like a hybrid thing between investing assignment and then putting it onto market without doing fix and flip. So it's kind of like a wholesale deal, or it's like a wholesale deal, almost like where you take it with some dents and scratches, meaning not in perfect condition, but you sell on the market. If the market is good, which of course it is right now,
correct,
you can still make some money through some legal documents. It's not just an assignment or wholesale or any kind of things that are in some states are considered a little bit like iffy. Right?
Correct. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's been a dynamite. We're 2 or 2.5 years into that application in our business, and it's a wonderful add to the business.
Wonderful, great. So we're going to have in the future a podcast interview podcast just about Novation, because I think it fits also very well into what we're doing here on the land flipping side of things.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's jump into so you're into hiring. So how come you wrote a book about hiring, and what's your book called? I think you held it in the before we went live here. You held it up for a moment. Feel free to hold it up again.
So I will. Let me give you the genesis to answer your question. Sure. Why did I even write a book on hiring? Well, I was at a point, it's been a couple of years now, where it was time to scale and grow. I was at a point where I was doing 100, and I don't know what the number was, but I'll say 125, 150 transactions between fix and flip, rentals, the whole nine, and still being a real estate agent at that time, while having one outsourced transaction coordinator. I mean, I was literally working myself to death. And so I got to the point where I was going, it's time for me to change this into a business, from a job to a business. So I started digesting every book that's ever been written on hiring, and most of them left me dazed and confused. Thinking I need to hire some sort of MBA person, because most of these things are written probably for Fortune 500 companies. There really just wasn't anything written out there, by us, meaning someone in our industry, for us.
Right. True.
And so I went through the process literally of, all right, what do I have to do? How do I have to hire? How do I build ultimately the SOP? All of us have SOPs in our business for various aspects of the business, but how do I build that for the hiring process? And over a period of really good hires and diligently documenting as I went, testing and trying, and things working, things not working, tweaking as I went, I was able to go to a point where we've got a really dialed in process for hiring. And this industry has been one I participate, much like you, Jack, in a whole bunch of groups through the country, know a whole bunch of people in this industry. And relationships like this have been very, very good and very profitable for me. I couldn't help but want to document something that I found success in my own business, to be able to give back to our community. And so that's what I did.
Okay, very nice. That's very cool. So it's very nice of you too. So what are some of the key points of hiring a unicorn, as you call it, right? Unicorn in the real estate space. What makes real estate as a industry different from any other industry in terms of hiring? What do you got to look for? What do you got to not look for?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, for us, in our business, from an industry standpoint, whether you're buying houses or whether you're buying land, you've got an acquisitions role. So for us, there's only about half a dozen roles, maybe, until you really get to a very large place where you've got a huge portfolio and need some investment people. There's not that many roles. And then for a very good majority of the roles, there's tremendous overlap in some of the skill set that you'd be looking for. One of the things that isn't spoken enough about, and I touch on it in the book, in terms of, what are the things you have to have dialed in? You got to know who you are, you got to know what you are and what your business is. So meaning you have to know what your culture is, because if you don't know, if anybody will do without having to fit in your culture, when I'm saying culture, I mean, what items that you value, what are your non-negotiables? Won't cross that line. Got to have it. You need to know those things.
Right. So I like that. It's like, what you got to know. What can you say that thing?
I say what you are and who you are. So everybody's different, although we may be in the same industry, and we may have, I say you and me, I mean, across the board, we may have exact same businesses and exact same, just other cities, but we're not, as individuals, we're not the same. We value things differently. We operate differently. And so you have to know that who might be perfect for your business in the exact role that I would hire for in my business may not be the perfect person for either one of us.
Right. I mean, absolutely. I know guys in the real estate industry that walk around only with suit and tie all day long, and they expect, and therefore the entire company walks around like that and presents like that. And I know guys in the wholesaling industry or the rehab industry, they walk around with torn jeans and t-shirts and this cap sideways, right? And
that's right.
And they attract, obviously, somebody with that likes to look with a suit and thing is not going to necessarily, and I'm just picking it on clothing right now, but it kind of represents kind of your style. Obviously, it's not a perfect science, but if you're just like hanging out and things and have that hustle, but in a completely different way, you value different things, you're going to attract different people. And if you don't know who you are, you're going to have a hard time attracting people that fit with you. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, if you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there, right?
Right.
So you got to have a sense of who you are and where you're headed, and you're exactly right. You end up attracting the right people for yourself.
Right. So the message here, I think, is know who you are and know how you want your business to look like.
Right.
What kind of people do you want around you? What do those people value? Are you a Christian organization and you want people that share those values? Are you an atheist organization and somebody who is like completely high belief, like newborn or something like that, then might not be a fit in there, right? Are you having certain, because that spills into everything, right? For example, our company, we absolutely, religion is not necessarily something that plays a big role. We respect all spirituality and all different beliefs.
Yeah.
We just expect people to do that in private, and therefore in our company, you can be anything you want to be.
Yep.
It just doesn't play a role in your thing. You do this outside, then whatever you do there is good with us, right? Yes, absolutely. So it means that we have 100% tolerance for absolutely every walk of life, but that's who we are. Like that's how we are in private too, right?
Correct.
We have 100% tolerance for every kind of religious belief, and so therefore everyone is welcome in our company. Doesn't matter what their religious beliefs are. Not everyone, other people have different kind of likes, and that's not better or worse. That's just different, right?
It's just different. Yeah.
So you want to know who you are, and then you want to know how your company looks like. You want to know, like, if you hustle 16 hours a day, you probably want somebody that has the hustle built in so that they can keep up with you, right?
Right.
Is that
you know what's funny? That or understanding your exact needs. One of the best hires I ever made, my right hand, the person who operates in my COO role, is I'm the person who would hustle 16 hours a day. Maybe not that many, but say 12 hours a day. Man, a lot. I wanted somebody the exact opposite of me. Okay. So meaning unbelievable patience, somebody who could dial in our SOPs, somebody who's, while we share the core values of what we believe, hard work, I mean, all the things that are required, the non-negotiables are all there. But from a personality standpoint and my needs in the business, I didn't need somebody like me. I needed somebody the opposite of like me.
Right. And that's an important thing too, guys. So a lesson I learned that 100% relates to you, that you don't necessarily want to hire people like you, because otherwise, whatever your strength is becomes bigger, but whatever your weakness is also becomes bigger.
Correct.
Right. So we have brought in, on our coaching side of things, we brought in a vice president of operation who is exactly the opposite in a way from me, and our business is so much better for it too.
Correct.
Because like when I go crazy or something, she's like, "No, calm down. This is fine. We got this. Just there's a process for that. We'll solve it." And equally on the other side, when it becomes too processized, it's like, "Okay, guys, enough of that now. Yeah. Let's just go move."
Yeah, right? We got to push. Correct.
Yeah, we got to push. So that's but that goes down to, again, knowing who you are. Right. And now, so then how does your book talk about managing people too?
I touch on managing people to a degree. I think management, here's my belief in management, and it's played out in my own business, that if you hire right, management, about 80 or 90% of it takes care of itself.
Right.
That it is so imperative. The cost of a wrong hire, is estimated somewhere north of $15,000 or $16,000. They disrupt the business. You're going to have to start over. The cost associated with onboarding, your time, energy, effort. And then, one thing that's impossible to put a price on is, what's the mental strain of us putting effort into things that just don't work out. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah. I learned that, and I keep relearning that lesson. And that is a lesson of one of the things we always say, but sometimes we violate it, is don't hire out of desperation.
Correct.
Right. Because when you hire out of desperation, you hire the first person that comes along.
Right.
And in 9 out of 10 cases, you can get lucky and it works, but in 9 out of 10 cases, it just doesn't work. So now you're wasting all this effort. So my message to everyone listening here is that from my own experience, and we have a team of 75 employees right now. Yours probably even bigger with a brokerage. If you're in a situation where it's like, I can't do this anymore, I need somebody, just suck it up for another month or two until that great best fit person comes along. Because even though those extra month or two are going to be really not very pleasant,
Yes.
right? Because you're stretched thin, you're doing stuff that you don't enjoy and things like that. Once that right person comes, it's a game changer. It just changes everything, how everything works.
Correct. Well, there's no, in my opinion, there's no better investment. Nothing is can produce a greater return. I don't care if it's a ground, a house, or a piece of or a commercial building. Nobody can possibly produce a better return than the right employees over a period of time.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So
all
it's
right. So wonderful. So I love to talk about hiring and all these processes more, but let's also jump over into the other aspect you have. So
let me do this. Let me just show the book real quick for everybody. So they've got it. Unicorn hunting for real estate investment companies, how to easily attract, screen, and land a unicorn. It's the complete hiring funnel. Literally 80% of this might as well be standard operating procedures, SOP. Most of it you can hand off, Jack, to somebody in your office or a VA who can operate 80+% of this process to bring people through and get more applicants than what you ever need to fill a single role. Awesome.
Yeah, we actually literally today having what we call a director of people start in our company, which instead of calling it HR manager, a director of people is actually much more warm name in my opinion.
It is. I agree.
HR, you got to have HR policies and things. But now we have a director of people who's starting, and I'll get their book right in her hands, and just to help us with some of those pieces.
Perfect.
So wonderful. So, and obviously we'll link into the show notes to Amazon, probably where it's available for everyone to get that here. Get that. So let's talk about funding. Let's talk about your Legacy Impact Partners business. What do you do there? What do you do there?
Perfect. Well, we morphed, this just launched this year. We morphed out of fix and flip. We've helped and partnered with a handful of people here in my backyard, Des Moines, to work people through in the last year, funding their deals, partnering with them, largely from a funding and SOP standpoint to help them just manage their fix and flips a little better, more, little easier, and cut some dollars and cents off and also time off. So that we've expanded that. And that's what we're looking for this year, is really just a handful of partners, people on the fix and flip side who want, find themselves, I'd say long on deal flow, meaning more deal flow and short on cash, because we provide cash to take deals down. We provide cash for the refund or the fix and flip. And then we handle all the accounting. We pay all the bills, everything that runs through from a contractor standpoint. And they find the deal, they run the project, and then we sell the deal, and we've got a profit split on the backside.
All right, wonderful. So you do that mostly for single families, or you do it also for other asset classes?
Mostly for today, it's just single families on the fix and flip side. Yeah, okay. There is some conversation talking about commercial, but we're not at that point for this year.
All right. Do you do any kind of other financing, like transactional funding or bridge financing or anything like that?
No, it's a good question. No, we don't. It's just specifically on the fix and flip side, since we've really got that piece dialed in our own backyard, going through and having done hundreds at this point of the fix and flip side. So we can add a lot of value to somebody who's like that in their world.
Okay, wonderful. Well, here's the thing. We have lots of students. Again, typically we do land flipping,
right?
So which is like house flipping or house wholesaling, just like for land. But I know particularly those students, as we call them students, they go through our programs and then graduate and then go out there and do lots of stuff. Eventually, they're having a bunch of cash on the sideline, right?
Right.
And eventually, they're looking to then put in what we call forever cash. That's the Forever Cash Real Estate Investing Podcast, right?
That's right.
Because you have your active income, what we call the cash machine, and then you turn that, which is for you, it's fix and flip and things, and for our investors, it's land flipping, right? To put them on a contract for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, flipping for 60 cents on the dollar, get a bunch of cash. And then turn that around into potentially some fix and flips properties. Like I can't think off the top of my head of various of our Hall of Fame investors that at this point find, as they expand more and more, they come across the occasional house. They come across a smoking deal where somebody I have this piece of land, but I also have this house here, and they give them a smoking deal. So they're starting to get into that arena a little bit. And so if that happens, how do you operate? What's kind of like on a high level, a process? Somebody comes to you with a deal. What happens?
Yep. Good question. So the first thing we do is just go to my website and let's just have a conversation. For us, it's about finding the right people, then the right deal. So literally, are we a match? So it goes back to the book, goes back to hiring. From our standpoint, this is a partnership, less less of like lender borrower, more of partner partner. I want to make sure we add value in your world, and the counter is true. So I want to make sure we're a really good fit from there. And then from there, we get into the business and the deal. We have an underwriting process in which we work through, Jack, to be able to analyze that, much like, somebody in that position, the buyer, our partner, would be analyzing a deal to know, is this the comps hold? And, some of that is, we want to confirm. And then sometimes we want to challenge. Did you see this comp? Maybe it's a little better. Did you see these 3 comps? Maybe it's not quite as good as we think it is. But obviously we're in an environment where it's been very good and prices continue to rise. So there is a little, from doing this, being involved in nearly 2,000 transactions at this point, there's some art that goes into this, not past the science, to know where's our market going. Is it at what points of the year are we getting softer, and what points of the year can we actually push the pricing a little higher?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So then you have that conversation, you find that out, and then what's the next step after that?
Next step, once we go through underwriting, we get a green light. Literally, it's putting under contract, and we're working, get it closed, get it funded. And then our partner on the ground is running the contracting crew. So we request a scope of work at one point in the process to have an understanding of, what are the costs? How do you manage your contractors? Everybody's a little different in terms of how they manage their deals, right? So
Contractors different.
Contractors are different. Yeah. I mean, I'm an anomaly. I'm roughly 200 deals in with the same exact contractor.
All right.
Yeah. So our process in terms of where we're at is super, super tight. And I know other people who, every other house, they got to go find a new contractor, right?
Goes back to the book again. If you find the right who, the how takes care of itself.
Right? You're exactly right. And that's what has me say the best investment you can make is getting the proper people. Because do you know how easy my world, or easier my world is? Because I got the same guy doing house after house after house.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah.
It is.
So if I understand it right, in your model, you find the investors come to you with a deal, you analyze it all, you underwrite it, and then you buy the deal, or does the investor buy the deal with your money as a loan?
Oh, no, we buy the deal. So it goes into our name, and then we fund everything along the way. But the investor on the ground is doing everything along the way.
All right. Okay. So the investor finds the deal, but it then goes to you with probably, I would say, a JV agreement of some sorts.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Joint venture agreement that you then that outlines the roles and outlines the split and outlines all different things. And then the investor manages the piece, manages the rehab with your contractors, gets it all done. And at that point of time, you probably use your realtor team or your proven realtor team to put it out in the market. And then at the end, there's a profit split for both of us.
You got it. The only comment I'll make is if they got a realtor, sometimes it's a spouse, sometimes it's a friend, sometimes somebody, because all these deals, when we're partnering with somebody, they're not in Iowa, they're all around. Our realtor network diminishes as soon as you get outside my backyard. So we're leveraging them and their relationships and who they've got from a realtor standpoint. If we don't have anybody, we interview. And given the fact that I've done this and been a realtor forever, I can help guide them through that process. So we make sure we get the right realtor for us in our situation.
So you do this nationwide?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, that's a good point, because that's something that's really important to mention. So
exactly.
So anyone having a deal now, is there any restrictions on kind of like metro areas only, rural areas, or doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. No, the only challenge, and this too, the only challenge we ever seem to run into on the rural areas is what's the comps. When comps are thin and values widely vary, it gets real. It gets tough.
Right. No, absolutely. I understand that. Yes, I agree with you. Good. Well, that's great. So that is a unique kind of way of doing this, because most people that I know, and that's why we brought you on the show, because you're doing things different, is that most people I know, they have the model that in the house flipping side, where they find a deal and then they find money, they'll just fund the deal and fund the rehabs, but everything goes into their name. Is there any specific reason why you guys take title in the property and not let the investor take title?
Yeah, we want more control over that. If we're gonna have an issue that with somebody, what we're not a lender. We're really trying to add additional value through. If you go to a lender, go get a bank. You can do that. For some people, it's the absolute best choice for them. but a lender is not going to be able to help you flip a home. They're not going to be able to provide any guidance. Essentially, the old saying is you can either choose smart money or dumb money. And a bank, in my opinion, would be dumb money. And that only works if you're smart, meaning you really have the process dialed in. Hopefully that makes sense. But when in our relationship, we've been able to add value in a big way to go in the scope of work to be able to reduce some costs to help somebody, shortcut where they may be able to not, where they may need some help. That, and then the velocity of dollars and cents to not have to come back and go through deal with the bank on every time, going through an underwriting process, 2 years tax returns, a pint of blood, the whole nine associated with getting a loan, all the points and fees, everything else associated with that. We want to do more deals. And as soon as we find the right partners, it's literally excellent. How many more can we do? Let's continue to go. Absolutely. How much faster can we go?
Right. And I know, I'm going through recently refinanced our house, and particularly as being an entrepreneur, that was a major nightmare. Even though our income obviously is very, very good, but because we also have a commercial property, the depreciation and all those kind of things makes it hard to really, for an underwriter to really truly see through all of that. Plus, there's so many regulations on what they can count and not count. Correct. That it becomes really challenging to get approved in financing. It's like, guys, I can pay for this thing cash, right? So, correct. But I don't want to pay cash. So, are you forcing me to pay cash? And then finally, found a company that actually has the sophistication to actually do it with us. And now we're getting them loan after loan after loan because they have just been amazing. And I would assume it's the same thing for you guys. And a somewhat early stage or not the most experienced investor comes to you guys and you provide all this help and all this guidance and all this expertise that'll save them tens of thousands of dollars potentially over picking the wrong contractors, over time delays, over all this kind of things. And in exchange, they're giving up some equity, or some of the profits. Right. But it's a great partnership that I think can work really, really well.
Well, they get my personal cell phone, so we're able to tackle things. Stuff that comes up, we're there. I mean, it's literally a partnership. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love that. All right, great. Well, we don't want to keep you too long here, so I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you think we haven't covered that you would like to cover for another couple of minutes?
No, I think you hit it. And I love what you do. And, my world is very similar, just a different product. You're on the land side, mine's on the house side. And it's just really working my way through the house fixing and flipping and to generate that cash. And you're right, to place it in a forever position. And so I love the work you do. And it's really been, it's really impactful. And I know as I travel around and talk to people at various masterminds, I know you've been deeply impactful for people and in their world. And wonderful. I just really appreciate having me on.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Sometimes when people go through our program and then they take off and they go fly, and not always do we hear back from that. So it's great to hear that through indirectly that we're making an impact. I know we're making an impact on our students because huge amount of them are successful and so on, but we don't hear back from everyone, particularly not 5 years later when when they have taken their business to multi-million dollars or something like that.
Exactly.
And that's when we see their first few deals and we celebrate them. As they graduate, though, we don't necessarily hear back. So it's great to hear that their word around there is great and positive about us. So I'm glad to hear that. Well, with that said, guys, everyone, that concludes our podcast. Thank you, Neil. With that said, one thing's left. Neil, give us your contact information. How can people get a hold of you if they're interested in partnering on a deal? I know it's Legacy Impact Partners, I would assume .com at the end, right?
You got it. Yep.
Is that the website?
You can find me in a couple places. That's the best website to be able to go book a call between the two of us to get connected and chat. If you want to follow me or connect up, I'm on LinkedIn and then also on Facebook, just under Neil J. Timmins.
All right.
I'll make sure I get you the links.
Timmins. Make sure that you also follow Neil. Also, if you haven't followed us on Facebook, go to Jack Bosch, follow Jack Bosch, go to Land Profit Generator, follow Land Profit Generator, but also make sure you go to Legacy Impact Partners, follow them, contact with them. If you're doing anything in the house flipping side and you need a partner in some deals, right? So that's it, guys. Obviously, we're going to link this all into the show notes. As always, wherever you watch this, wherever you listen to this, give us 5 stars, give us a comment, share it with your friends. And Tim, thank you very much. Neil, of course. So Sorry,
It's my last name. Happens all the time.
Yeah, Neil, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks, Jack. Pleasure.
All right. With that said, thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
See you soon.